we do it in English, right?
Okay.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. This event will be a little bit different. We will have two live chats. First one will be with Philippe, and we will talk about opening a scale up tech hub in Barcelona, and talk more about this management issues and situations and insights, key learnings, right? And then after that, we will have a live chat with Severn, who is a Backend expert, and he will actually share with you his key learnings, his findings, also main issues in software development. And why we called it live chat is that it's not a typical presentation or not an interview where I just read questions, the ones that you sent us or the ones that we thought might be interesting for you. We really encourage you to engage, to participate and to ask questions in real time, so no need to wait till the end of the session to ask questions. You can also actually share your experiences, ask follow-up questions, and participate. We really love having small groups like this. Actually, we can get to know everyone who is here, right? And have deeper conversations instead of talking a little bit about everything and then just speak with one or two people in the networking session, and that's it. So let's take advantage of this and feel free to participate. So let me introduce myself and companies that we work for. This time we had the pleasure to organize this event with ManoMano and Philippe, who is head of software engineering in ManoMano. He has a great experience opening tech hubs in Barcelona, in Bordeaux, and in many things. So we joined forces and decided to organize this event. We really believe in collaboration, and on a monthly basis we organize events with software communities like Java community, Barcelona JS community, etc. So the ones who are interested, later on after the event, we will send you information about all the initiatives and about all the events that are in our roadmap, and hopefully we will see each other there as well. I'm Katya. I work in Apiumhub. So for those who don't know the company, this is a software development hub based here in Barcelona. Although we do have remote team members. And what we do, we just build goal-driven working software. And we really help software engineers and software teams to enjoy what they do by implementing best practices and improving estimations, quality assurance, automation, and delivery processes. We are not just like another consultancy, so we really try to make an impact and help technical teams deliver robust, scalable, and better performing software on time. So here you can see some of our clients that we work with, like Mango, Inditex, Nestle, Mercadona. And we take each one of our clients as a really key client that we care of, and we strive to really work together for ages. But also apart from that, why people actually know us, because of Global Software Architecture Summit that we organize also here in Barcelona. I don't know if any one of you has attended the event. If not, I really recommend you to visit if you are into software architecture, because there we really also discuss topics such as software architecture metrics, some modern practices in software architecture, with software architecture influencers such as Neil Ford, Mark Richards, Aaron Woods, Michael Feathers, and others. And also last year we also had an order to publish this book software architecture metrics, together with other authors as well, Neil Ford, Michael Keeling, Carola Lilienthal, Rene Weiss. Probably you know all of them because they are really like industry influencers, let's call them like this. So if you're interested during the networking event, just pass by and I tell you more about it. And also, last but not least, this year we really focus in investing in creating high quality content, not just like internally with our software development team who constantly publishes tech articles on our blog, but also with other experts, such as, for example, head of software engineering in other companies who share their experience, their insights, and we publish articles as well as videos on our YouTube channel. So later on, the ones who are interested, we will share all that information. And now let's get to the session why you're all here, right? Philippe Donon, Head of Software Engineering in ManoMano. Please share with us your journey. How did you get to this impressive point? What do you do in ManoMano? What is ManoMano? Actually, I guess everyone knows it, but just in case. And yeah, tell us more about this Barcelona tech hub that you opened and the one that is growing so fast.
Okay, great. So that's a lot of questions. So let me start one by one. So yeah, we start with what is ManoMano. I like to define it as the Amazon for everything that is home improvement, gardening, everything that is DIY. So we are a marketplace, pure player. What does it mean? A marketplace pure player means we have no product that we own ourselves. We are just like when you go in the marketplace of a town or in the marketplace of your neighborhood. We are just selling a space where people will receive traffic and they can display all their products, and we put them in contact with clients. And after we start, we sell services that helps our seller to sell even more. So sponsored product, what you can see in some website like Amazon. Also the warehouse, so they just send their product to our warehouses and we send everything. So we are a specialist for everybody who likes to do DIY and to renovate their houses by themselves. So we really want to be seen as a specialist for DIY. Mm-hmm. And yes, again, as you said, we are in a small petit comité because also I'm French. And don't hesitate to interrupt and ask questions. Who already knew ManoMano or already did a purchase in ManoMano? Okay.
I'm French.
Ah, you're French.
It's easy for me.
And so it was about the journey. Yeah, actually the website is much more bigger in French and much more well known in French. I think it's around 80% of what we sell is sold in France. And we are trying to increase our business in other countries. So it's one of the major levers for our growth. And so we were speaking about my journey. I have been working all my career in e-commerce. I used to work in Bordeaux. I don't know, where are you from in France? Near Toulouse. Okay. So I used to come from Bordeaux. I was working for Cdiscount, which this time was one of the biggest competitor to Amazon. We were in front of Amazon, so we are selling more than Amazon in France. Now it's another deal. Now Amazon is bigger and yeah. And I decided to move to Barcelona 7 years ago, where I started to work in Privalia, one of the most successful startup of this time, and where I met Adria, and we worked together in this company, and where I learned a lot. So I have been in a very huge company, which has been a very good university for me, because I learned a lot about best practices for a lot of topics and about high load on website. which helped me a lot to come in another company that was smaller. And here I saw many stuff that a bigger company has, and I tried not to reproduce what I was doing, but to recreate and putting up to date some technologies. And so by coming into this company, I saw that we could improve a lot the performance and the technology stack. And it's where I started to lead the architecture team. So I was an architect before, I started to lead the architecture team. Mm-hmm. And at this time, a long time ago, it's where we were starting to do work with microservices and feature teams. And so this is where I started to be more head of engineering, because we decided to split the architects inside of the teams. And at this time, I was so happy to know like another way of working, this dynamic environment of a company that was smaller. And I had been contacted by ManoMano, which was much smaller at this time. It was around 80% at the tech world. And my objective when they contacted me was to grow the tech team. They already spotted one place, so they did an analysis of the different places in France where we have good engineering schools and where the market is propice to open a hub. And so we decided to open a hub in Bordeaux, which was a pain for me to leave Barcelona. But the project was really nice, and the company was very interesting because it was the first e-commerce company to target the sector of DIY at a time where it was very hard to buy DIY online. So I had the chance to meet the founders, and this interview was very, very interesting. So I came into Bordeaux, and here I entered into the craziness of this hyper scale, where 1 month after they told me, okay, now you don't have to recruit 50% in Bordeaux, now it's 100, and in 6 months. So at this point I was like, I had already hired a lot of people in Bordeaux because it's where I had network. But I was at a point like, okay, it's going to be a big challenge. I don't think I can do it by my own, to hire 100 developers in such a small amount of time. So at this time I decided to hire a colleague of mine from Bordeaux to take the hub of Bordeaux and to convince the company that we should open a hub in Barcelona for several reasons. First, very high-skilled people in Barcelona, a lot of tech universities, a lot of tech companies. It's also very good for attracting people from all around Europe because the city is sunny. Well, you all know the city as you are living here. So a lot of people want to come from Europe to Barcelona to join your company. And also this possibility to scale very fast because it's what we were speaking earlier. In many European countries, when you have your notice period, you have to wait for 3 months. You know this. When you quit your job, you have to wait for 3 months. So every time you want to scale up, you have to think about it 3 months before, start scaling. And the same, when someone starts to be demotivated and want to resign, you have to have someone not motivated in your team for 3 months, which made us open the office very fast in Barcelona. In around 6 months, we were already 60% in Barcelona. So we grew very fast. And this is more or less what we are going to speak about right now. And as of today, so 3 years after the opening of the hub of Barcelona, we are around 220 in the office. Well, in Barcelona, before it was in the office, but now since COVID, we have remote working. So it will be in Spain. And about 160 developers in Spain. So it represents 45% of all the tech team of ManoMano is now in Barcelona.
Wow.
Well, in Spain. Yeah.
Impressive. It sounds great, but still, there are always issues and challenges. So what was the biggest issue for you creating the hub?
I will go in the timeline, but the first issue was creating the company. We had a company to help us to create the company, our subsidiary. But we didn't think it was going to be so long. So we wanted to go very fast. So we already started to do interviews and saying to the people, you will join the company in 2 months. But after 2 months, no company. And we had signed a lot of people to join the company. So this was the first time where I started to lose some years. No, it was a joke. I lost them way before. But no. So here we had to be clever, and we worked with a contractor company to do a portage. So it means that they were working for another company that we paid an extra. And after, when we had the company created, 1 month and a half later, so with the 1 month and a half delay, we just hired them back with the historical. So we put the start date, so they had all the bonuses. This was one of the first things that was complicated. Second thing that was complicated is that we were working in a French company, and everybody was speaking French. A lot of people were not able to speak English, and a lot of documentation was in French. So we had to drive this culture of all the communication in Slack had to be in English, give language training to everybody, and start to translate all our documentation and everything. And now it's something that is happening very well. Another thing that was very important was to bring the culture of the company, because you start a new hub from scratch, but this has to be like with the same culture of the company, the same spirit of the company. So it was something that it's you had to add like influencers and ambassadors of the culture that we made travel, organizing a lot of meeting and ceremonies so people could share together their experience in ManoMano and know more about the history of the company, having the founders, having a lot of people to visit us in order to impregnate the culture of the company, and I can tell much more other points. And don't hesitate to ask your question if there is one point in particular you want to tackle, or something you also lived when you created your company, Adria. Don't hesitate to add some more points. Yep.
Okay. And so what would be that key thing that you would share with companies that are about to settle down in Barcelona?
So about the fact of scaling up, one thing that has been very important is the offices. It has been very, very important to have like very nice offices for interviews and everything, but also scalable offices. So at the beginning, we didn't know if we're gonna make it with the numbers and our objectives. So being in a co-working has been very helpful for us, because we have been able to work in a very small room, and we have this funny souvenir of where we were 10 in this room, because we told them we would be 10 after 1 month, but we were 10 already after 1 week. So we were 10 on 8 desks. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, having a very nice office in order to be able to do employer branding, to do a lot of networking events. So it was a big reason, but every Thursday we had like a co-working event where people could bring people they want to refer. Because referring people was also a way we grew very fast.
Referral program.
Yeah, the referral program, but as a networking. So we had like this kind of some people do barbecue test for the interviews. So we had this like people coming first to the networking event and speaking with everybody, and after they said, okay, this company is cool. They could ask all their questions in a totally free spirit. So this one of the key thing that was very important. And after, for attracting talent, we did many things, but we'll see it later. But also to be aware that there are different stages. The stage where you are less than 50%, it's a stage where everything is more easier, the communications flow very fast. But the stage from 50 to 100 is already another thing. And so every time you grow your office, you have different stages that comes with other responsibilities, and you need to be aware about it.
So what was that number when you actually said, I don't remember the name of that person?
And I have a strong issue with the names, but I think I knew all the name up to when it was only my teams. And then when we started to open to business and to other teams, I start to lost some names. But as we were a small family at the beginning, every time I was coming to the office, I was saying hi to everybody, like checking the hand like this. And I was doing like which one was going to do the biggest noise, and he was the one winning.
Oh, nice.
And saying the name of everybody in order to be sure that I could remember the names. But COVID came, so we had to start with this game of the foot. You remember, like checking the foot?
No.
Yeah, it was like a choreography during COVID to say hi to someone. You were checking the foot, and after like remote, and now with remote it's much more harder. Like a very interesting subject for another meeting is how the manager job changed totally with remote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, how often do you meet like all together? Let's say.
So it's changing. We are still trying to find the right pace, but we have like team building every quarter at the feature team level. We have one company event where all the company meets. So we are speaking of all the company, like more than 1,000 people who meets. Next time it's going to be in Paris for our 10 years birthday, because the company ManoMano is 10 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. So it's going to be in June. So we're going to meet all together in Paris. And after we do 2 other parties per hub. So for instance, we will have the Christmas party in Barcelona. And after we have some time where we meet for workshops and more like work related and with some small groups. Yeah.
And venue for 1,000 people, like do you rent a football stadium or something?
It was impressive. Last one was called the Mano Games, so it was kind of an Olympics games. I can show the video after if you are interested, but it was like a huge event where we had a full park a bit outside of Paris, and with more than 80 attractions and sport activities, going from jumping with a slope, Tyrolean, like going down, basketball match with like handicap chairs with some people from the handicapped team of basket of France. But we had a lot of stuff. It was 10 food trucks. It was like an impressive event. Yeah.
Nice. And like coming back to the to software, like on a software scale, as a head of software engineering, what was your key learning over, let's say, the past year?
Yes, my key learning, and it's something we were speaking with Adria just before the talk, it's about how do you attract talent. Adria was telling me I prefer to have fewer employees, but very talented employees, because at the end it's more performance. So for us it was very important to say how can we find and do the good hiring of talent, but also have talent attracted to come to ManoMano. And for this, we replied by always trying to be one step forward for our technical stack. We always try to look at new technologies, to have them in our tech radar. So I don't know if you are aware about what is a tech radar, but it's a radar where you show all the technologies that you are trying, that you are adopting, and that we are using. And so we look at it in order to be sure we use like brand new technologies. We also have, we know it's very important learning to attract talent. So every Thursday afternoon, It's a full-time dedicated to learning that we call the Crafternoon, so to craft something, and it's also in the DIY world a very important name. And we also organize Cow Days, where we have some villains that try to attack our platform, a team, a bad team, and a good team that try to solve it as fast as possible. We have like hackathon days, so we really try to work on this, and after also by our employer branding, and I'm sure you are an expert on it. But yeah, going to conferences, sponsoring conferences, speaking at conferences, and sending our people in a lot of places. And after we also have like tools, Udemy and stuff like this. And the second thing that has been complicating, it's now we are in another period due to the crisis. Now it's more part of layoffs and everything. But 1 year ago it was like crazy. Every time you heard like this company came, Bumble came, and N26 came, and they offer now this salary for your employees, and they offer this, and they offer this, and every year it was like an increase of 10% for the salaries and everything. And so we had to say at one point, we cannot give all of this, so we need to start working on benefits. So it's where we started to be clever on benefit and adding like Gym Pass or Enjoy, remote working, and more events. And I think what I'm very proud of is the retention we have, because people are very happy in our company due to the values of the company. Everybody is helping each other. We don't finger point, so if you fail, it's a learning. So we encourage people not to fail, but to try new things. And yeah, I think it's something that is very important, like retention and building a team spirit with everybody.
And what are the main challenges in software development, especially like in your industry, in retail? What would you say?
In retail, the thing that is more competing now is that now all investors are asking for profitability. We were coming in a path where what we were asked as a scale-up, a unicorn, it was like every year shows that you have more and more sales and more sales, and that you are taking all the business volume. What they were looking at, it's the number of sales that ManoMano is doing versus Leroy Merlin versus other marketplaces of DIY. And for this, we had unlimited cost. It was like just increase your sales and show that you are scalable. And now it's a totally new paradigm. It's okay, now show you that you can generate benefits. And now we are really looking in a lot of metrics that are different. Before it was metric about growth, metric about repeat. Now it's a lot about metric about the cost of the people who came in our platform, how we can ensure we are generating the most benefits with our sellers. So more service oriented, selling like more tools for the seller to be more competitive. So working a lot in repricing to be more competitive than other marketplaces, selling the services to share more insight to the seller, to display better their product, services as I spoke earlier about the warehouses. And also for the customer part, what we try to ensure is we have the best price, we try to ensure the best quality as possible. We try to ensure that they will come back. So for instance, by having them buying on the application, because when they have the application, they will come back more often and buy more and come more often. They will create more wish lists. And we have a sector. We are also B2B. So ManoMano is B2C and B2B since 5 years, and B2B is growing a lot. And the good thing with B2B is that we have a lot, yeah, I come. We have a lot of repeats. And so this is generating a lot of benefits. So this is what we try to reach.
I wanted to ask in the new paradigm about not looking for growth, but looking for profitability. Do you think it has affected to the development team in terms of having to increase maybe quality, having to improve maybe estimations? How do you think this has changed the point of view of the development teams?
So that's very important. So you make a very good point. The teams, maybe some of you will be scared, but the team didn't even knew the budget they were spending in their infrastructure. So we started to add new tools to see the cost of everything. And so the teams started to think about ROI, return on investment, on some project. And we saw that some pages we had made only for internal user using it twice a month was costing 200 or 700 euros per month of infrastructure. We also started to see that we have some traffic that we were not caching or stuff like this that decreased the bill by 1,000 per month. And we saw that at one point we had like, this feature are going to bring so much money that we go, and we increase the hardware behind. And I come from performance. I was head of performance in the past, so I never liked this approach, and I was always trying to work in performance, and I think you can witness it. But yeah, so the team now are really much aware about the cost of the things they build, how to be more effective. So this is more about the part of the cost. And now sometimes I have to stop the teams and say, okay, stop, because here you are going to save, to spend 3 days to save 3 euros per month. So it's good. It's working well enough. Quality, yes, I know that now we have this word in ManoMano that every euro we spend have to be 1 euro we win. So the teams know that every second or every minute the platform is not working properly, we are losing money. But this is something that in the culture we already had because on our Tech Weekly, just before the afternoon on Thursday, we are already showing the weather of our platform, the SLOs, the number of defects that has been opened. We have a very impressive tool to handle the incidents that we call firefighter, to handle the defect and the incident. And we had already this culture of quality. And the team, when they see they have 99.999% of availability, they are very proud of themselves. And when they see 1 week we have something in red, they are like, okay guys, we can go together to solve this. So in terms of quality, we are still improving, but I think we didn't have this major change due to this change of paradigm, because it was the origin of your question. Yeah.
More to the culture of return of investment and
Yeah.
the right thing to do, improving infra.
Exactly. And now I think that you come with a project and they can use the tool to calculate, but they already know how much it will cost and what they have to optimize. So that's cool, because now we also drive this not only in engineering, but also with our business owners and our product. So now the business owners, I know, okay, if I ask for this feature, it will be this number of time for the developer to build it, and they know now the cost of building it, of the developers. They know the cost of the infrastructure, and they know the cost of everything, so they can say, okay, I agree with you. I think it's not a positive ROI.
Okay. It seems like you are really into tech and really into business. So how was this transition from being a really techie guy, like software architect, right?
Yeah.
And now you're head of software engineering, that you really need to think about all those business domains as well. So was it hard for you, or was something natural?
Yeah. So I'm thinking about the starting point of it, and I think the starting point of it is every time someone from business came to me, I was looking, okay, this guy have a problem, I have to find the solution. So I was never like saying no. And of course, when you don't say no, you have to start to say, okay, how can I prioritize? Like, okay, is this very important? Is it not? And so it's when I started to deep dive with the business on, okay, you need to bring this, you need to bring this. And I think it's where I started to get very much interested into this. Second thing is that in ManoMano and in the previous company I worked with, we were pairing the engineering with the product. So we are like kind of a couple. Okay. And working very close together. So when the product is in holidays, I am his backup, and even if I have a tech issue, my product can be the backup. So very work in a synergy with product. And I think when you are in a company that is growing, you are very close to going south or going north. So you need to always ensure you deliver business value. So I think it's something you need to speak the same word with business. You need to understand why you are building something, and I think it's very important to share this to all my teams because it gives them their mission, their purpose. They don't say, okay, I wrote this program and I'm happy. No, they know they wrote this program because it's used by this guy and this is bringing this to the company and they are contributing to the life of the company and to the company growth. So I think it's very important, and I also have the chance to have a very good team which are very autonomous, because I very like to train my team, to mentor them and to bring them to autonomy, because I think with autonomy they can grow and be better than me. And this autonomy they have give me more time to think about the strategy and to spend time with the business. So it's something that I think helped me to understand better the business. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And so what do you think about the idea of actually having silver bullets in software development? What are your ideas?
So for silver bullets, we are using the same word, like someone that is able to do everything,
like something that always works.
Okay.
Like this is like a pill that you have. For example, you have performance issues, like always, like this is the solution, you know?
Yeah. So I don't like to bring the silver bullet. I don't like to be the manager to come and say, okay, this is the solution. You should do this. You should do that. I think I will prefer to say to my team, okay, I think this I already tried, but now we can do better, or now we can do another thing. I think one of the most complicated moments I had in my manager life was I knew I would have done it this way, but I had someone in my team, an engineering manager, that was growing very fast, and he had a totally opposite idea. And I was not aware if it was going to work or not. But I was like, I know my idea is going to work because I already did it in the past. But from this idea, I will learn. Maybe it will fail, but at the end, maybe it will be better also. So I think the silver bullet, I don't want to reproduce the same things that I did in other companies, because if you just do the copycat, I think you can... You don't bring something new in your company, and you don't put something that is a differentiating factor. Of course, there are some stuff they are the same in all the company, and you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time. So I will say silver bullet for the basics, the thing you know they have to be like this, and for the things that are more creative and in the market it's more new. Let's be creative. Let's try something, and if we have to fail, let's fail fast.
Okay, that's actually the favorite phrase of Christian.
Yeah.
Fail early and often.
And with Christian, I worked with Christian, so one of the co-founders of Apiumhub and a very brilliant architect who wrote this book. And we had very funny project where we said, okay, let's try this way, and if we fail, let's have just an architecture that is adaptive, so we can just repair it after.
Let's discuss trends. So what are the trends that you have noticed over the past months?
So over the past months, well, there are many trends right now. So we have trends that are not since over the past months. It has been the cloud, and after it has been the container with Docker, and after it has been like Kubernetes to accelerate everything. Now we are very much working in events. So in events since a while, we added streaming. So now we are with these technologies that are very interesting. Chaos engineering, it's also something that is happening more and more. But a subject where I'm very glad to be working right now, it's about the sustainability. As I told you, I used to work in performance. So I knew how to improve the performance of a lot of tools. But now, you know, with the global warming, we have a global concern about the sustainability. And there is this new scope of green IT that appeared. And I had the chance to start reading about it and meet people that were very early adopter of this new trend of green IT. And it's something that I try to bring in ManoMano. And this is at the end very interesting because it's bringing more performance, reduce the budget, and reduce the carbon footprint of our infrastructure. So it's a win-win-win. And it's something that you learn and learn more and more and more. So I'm giving some presentation to spread this knowledge in the company. And I see people learning, and I'm kind of an evangelist. So I see them learning and being surprised of the carbon footprint of the tech. And I could speak about it for 1 hour, but it's not the subject. But just, yeah, the part of the carbon footprint that is generated by IT is growing a lot. And it's going to be a big part of the global equation of the global warming. So it's something that will make more and more the trend and the highlights, because right now we are around 6% of the total emissions coming from tech. It's more than the airplane industry, and it's supposed to grow to 12% very fast. So it's something that's going to be a major point and a major trend, and I think. And I'm very happy to be able to work on a trend that is also something that is important for the planet. So, yeah.
Actually, this year we also started discovering this this topic, and me personally also I'm super curious. What exactly do you do in terms of green software, green IT? What was the starting point? How did you start there?
So I started by I am only at the second between the second phase and the third phase. The first phase is you need to learn and to analyze what is your carbon footprint, what is your impact in your company. So this is the first thing, and after I will do a question for all of you. Second thing is starting to make people aware. So communicate, give trainings, and after start to act and to reduce your carbon footprint. And you have to build, all the companies have to build their carbon trajectory. So they have to explain how they will reduce their carbon footprint. Because I don't know if you know, but right now, if we don't do anything, I don't have all the number in my head, but we will go at, in 50 years, at more, I think it's more 50 degrees. And the Paris Agreement that European companies signed is asking us to reduce our carbon footprint a lot in order to be only at plus 5 degrees in 50 years. And right now, if I show you the trend, we are not at all doing it. The only year where we managed to reduce our carbon footprint to reach the Paris Agreement, which year has it been? Yes, why? Yeah, when we were all confined, it was the only year where we managed to do the objective, not better, only the objective of what we need to do by the Paris Agreement. And so, what do you think is the biggest source of contamination in ManoMano for the tech, for the IT? Go on, you can make ideas, right?
The carbon cost?
Yes. Yeah, what is the first contributor, like the top 3 contributors of the carbon cost of ManoMano? No. It's not the first one. It's not the first one.
It's the second.
It's the third.
Which one you said?
Our servers, our infrastructure, the cloud.
The office now?
No. You are close to the second one.
The infrastructure, the personal infrastructure, the investment of the person who comes to the office now?
Close.
Try.
Network traffic?
No. Think about what all the developers need to work. Yeah. So this is the second one. The second one is all the computer, the laptop park, because the contamination comes from the building the laptops. When you start to manufacture the laptop, it's already finished. So here what we can do on the second point, like try to reduce the number of laptops we are buying every year, because this, when they are just created, it's already there, it's already your carbon cost. So what we are trying to ensure is that our developers can work and with their computer to buy refurbished computer. So all of you can contribute by buying refurbished and not buying brand new computers. And we are trying to decentralize the working environment into the cloud. So yes, we have some cost into the cloud, but the laptop can last longer. And the old laptops of developers, we try to give them a second life. So we are leasing, so we could send them back, but now we try to give them a second life, giving it to our salespeople that need less power in their computer. Mm-hmm. The first emission of carbon due to ManoMano, it's our users. Our users that go on our website because they need to first download the website. This consumes some battery that they need to refill during the night. So the first way we have to decrease our carbon footprint is to improve our website so our users are producing less CO2. So this is the first one. So by reducing the size of our DOM, reducing our JavaScript, reducing maybe the features we have on the website, we are willing to do this. Resizing images, optimizing the performance. Second one is all the screens we have in the office, all the laptops, all the stuff that are like objects that we buy and that have a lifetime that is short. And yes, the third one is in between the emails we send, so it's still related to the user, and our cloud infrastructure. But to give you the lines, we have to put it in a logarithmic line. The website is here, the laptops is here, and our computers in the cloud, it's peanut. It's third one, but it's peanut. Yeah. Mm. Wow. But we also improved this by migrating all our servers to ARM, migrating to Kubernetes to ensure we are using less computer as possible. Optimizing our network boundaries, we are working with this also. So we also try to reduce this. It's not because it's the third one that we don't want to work on it. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Very interesting. And another question that actually we ask a lot this year. It all started with COVID. A lot of people started to have anxiety. Then this crisis came in, and more people started to actually think about happiness, about how people can enjoy their daily life. Because also, like in software development, you are really focused in project delivery, right? So when you deliver it, I was like, oh, okay, I'm happy for 15 minutes. Like I delivered it, everything works, and then like another feature. So it's like the process of development sometimes is kind of like a suffering one. So what do you do in ManoMano that actually you can say, hey, I enjoy my daily life, maybe you have like practices or methodology that make you think like, I enjoy what I do on a daily basis?
Wow, so I will try not to forget any because we do many stuff about this. It's something that is, I think I'm a manager that cares a lot, and care is one of our value in ManoMano. First thing we do, and we are more and more focused right now, is about the cognitive load on the developer. When something is not working, something is slow, some environment is slow, the number of we are starting to measure per team the number of microservices they have to maintain, the number of lines they have to maintain, because all of this is stress. The number of alerts they have, the number of canals they have in Slack. So this is cognitive load. It's load. It's something you already have on you, like it's like the sword of Damocles, and it's on your shoulders. So this is something we measure since not long ago. We are strong in Agile. We have built a framework called Max. It's based on SAFe. And this comes with retrospectives at every quarter, where everybody is open to talk, with a lot of icebreakers, and we don't just ask people to complain, we ask them to show what they don't like and how they could contribute. So we don't also put all the pressure on the manager. We try to make everybody solve those issues. After we have all those culture arms, all those survey we send to the people, and we really measure different metrics. One that is very important is the health of our employees. Another thing that is very important to us is the equity. So to fight against the gender gap. So we have a lot of mentoring programs in ManoMano, but we have one that is very important for us. It's called the ladder. It's to ensure that women in tech have mentor, and to ensure that we give them the more possibility to grow, because a lot of women in tech are suffering the imposter syndrome. Because they are not allowed, they don't see a lot of other women at high positions in tech, and so they feel like they are not going to succeed, or this imposter syndrome. And we are working on a lot of other subjects about women, not only on the imposter syndrome. And another thing that we have, it's called, I'm doing some, sharing some name of companies, but it's called Mocha Care. It's something that ManoMano offers to all employees. They have the right for 5 sessions per year with a platform that will help them to orient to the good person, whether it can be a psychologist, whether a coach, whether a mentor, to help them to fight their stress. And I wanted to try it, so I tried it, and I think it's very useful for the employees. I was thinking myself, if I never try it, I cannot recommend it to my managers, to my teams, and so it's a very good initiative that we started to do during COVID, and I think it's also something you can offer to your employees. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sure there are others that. Later today, I will say, I should have spoken about this, but I think it's also like some stuff we are doing, and I'm sure there are more. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for sharing your experience with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's maybe ask if anyone else has additional question for you. No? Okay. Then thanks a lot, Philippe.
Thank you very much.
And now let's move on to a more techy.
The city is warm.
Okay, Severn. Hi. Could you tell us about yourself, about your journey, what you do, how you do it? Currently, you participate in a lot of meetups and international events. So tell us more about your background and expertise.
Sure. Journey. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good word to say, because so I'm from the United States. I started out there. I went to university, Penn State University, graduated, moved down to Washington, D.C., and then things took off. I came here to Sant Cugat to study in SADE, came back down to Washington, D.C. Then I worked in Berlin, Germany, I worked in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and then I moved back here to Barcelona. So it's been like 12 or 13 years or so in the software development industry. Worked with a bunch of different languages, different frameworks, but most of it has been, it's just been Java and JVM with Kotlin as well. I guess next question, sorry, I can't remember the entire train.
Sure. Currently, you are invited to many conferences abroad, like in many countries. Also, you give talks in local meetups. But maybe you could share your favorite events, the ones that really made an impact on you, or the ones that you haven't been to, but you're like, these ones are on my list, and I believe they will be worth my time.
Yeah, so Mobile World Congress here in February or March is a really great event. It's like I call it like a once-in-a-lifetime event that I had the opportunity to go to twice when I was at Asade. It's all the different mobile phone manufacturers, Sony, well, almost all of them. I don't think Apple attends because they have their own thing, but Sony goes there, Samsung goes there. And it's not just mobile technology, it's kind of spread out to a lot of different tech ideas, working with stuff in the cloud, just general development opportunities. I remember IBM had one that was just for their development, a platform that they had. Another conference that I really like working here is Spring I/O. That gets done in May, usually at FIRA, out at Plaza España. I really like it because I've spent a lot of time working with the Spring framework, so getting an idea of the new things in the community. And I really like that it's a really great way to get an idea of where the community is going. Especially with 2019, when it was really obvious that Kotlin was really taking hold in the Spring ecosystem, where it seemed like half of the presentations were about how to use Kotlin in your application to replace stuff like reactive programming. One that I'd like to try to get to next year is the Kotlin conference in Amsterdam. Pretty much for the same reason, it'd be good to get an idea of where the community's going. And there's a couple of big changes that are coming up with their, eventually, I think next year or the year after that, they're going to migrate to version 2.0. And they said they're going to really redo the architecture of the language. And that should have some good, impact on developing in that language. Especially now, there's kind of like this, I feel like now there's a good bit more of a competition between Java development and Kotlin development, because Java, the Oracle has really upped the pace of releasing improvements to Java ever since they bought it. Somewhere around 10 years ago. So it's good to see how those developments go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what would you say are your key learnings of the past months regarding Kotlin, Java, Spring Boot, and software development in general?
Yeah, so last year, I think one of the big things was there was a line that I really liked from the series Chernobyl that like, we can put things off, kind of paraphrasing it, we can put things off, but the bill always comes due with debt. And so at the end of 2022, there was a vulnerability called log4shell, which was for logging outputs, and there was a vulnerability with that, a big one, and so a lot of companies had to update a lot of their code. I wasn't involved in a project at that point that had to deal with that. Then came Spring4Shell, which wasn't as bad as Log4Shell as we found out later, but Log4Shell was fresh in memory of everybody in the Java community. So hearing this this shell thing again, we were thinking, all right, this is the same thing. We got to do it again. So this time I was on a project that had to do this upgrade. And then we found out that we had to do another upgrade, and we had to do another upgrade, and we had to change another project because there was incompatibilities there. It was a whole line of dominoes that had gotten stacked up by choices that have been made, that things that hadn't really been attended to in the previous months, and everything came to it once. That was not a happy couple of days to try to get everything ripped out, put in correctly, tested, and pushed out the door as soon as possible. But we did it, and it worked, so all was well as ended well. Another one that I think was good to really learn was the idea of giving the developers kind of a free rein determining what kind of technologies they want to use. It's good to have up to a limit. It's good to have developers that have that kind of the initiative of, I want to see if is this really the best tool, or is there another tool that we can use that's even better? One thing that has to be that people have to pay mind to is that there has to be follow-up on that. If there's something that's going to be brought in, the company or the project team really needs to dedicate itself to it. And kind of like having half measures can bring consequences down the road. What was happening was there was a component in this project that was written in another language that it was interesting to learn, this new language. But it has a reputation of being kind of a bear to really like to get to know, to really learn it, because it's a different paradigm. So there were developers that were afraid to touch it because they didn't want to try to learn this. They feared it, basically. So what happened was it was only this one component out of 7 or 8 components in the system. So it kind of had this weird like limbo of, it was there, it filled a vital part of the whole system. So people had to pay attention to it, but there wasn't enough investment in this technology in the project, so that the company really could say like, well, we need to have people, like we need to dedicate time to get people to learn this language. So it's go big or go home is really the kind of the way I would say it in kind of a pithy way. I think I had another one, but I might have to get back to that.
And this language or technology, which one was it? Because I live the same, and it's go big or go home.
Closure.
Okay.
Closure. Languages that are based on Lisp. I know that Lisp has the Lisp has a really like the reputation of just stacking up parentheses at the end. There are ways of getting around it, but also the way of kind of rearranging how you write a function also kind of breaks people's brains. It's like learning another language in general when you're used to doing everything one way your whole life, and then you're saying like, but that's not how you say it in this language, and then you just, I'd rather just not do that. Yeah. So, yeah.
And talking about main challenges in software development that you have faced, maybe in the projects that you have worked on, or maybe like you have identified like patterns in the industry as you participate in in a lot of events. Like, what would you say would be the top ones?
Yeah. So the big thing that has come up this year has been artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and wow, the amount of articles and people panicking about it, about what it could be doing. Is science going too far? Is this the end of software development as a profession? We've been here before. There were 5th generation languages that were heralded as the programmer killer, the software development killer. There was low code and no code platforms. That also did that were also said like, this is something that's going to be like, we're not going to need software developers as much as we had in the past. We have ATMs, but bank offices still exist. They have tools. Their tools like ChatGPT is a tool for helping to do something. My wife loves it. She uses it all the time for the coursework that she has for her master. And I could even see it good for programming, but there are things that occur in software engineering that just you can't just apply the most common things that ChatGPT can produce. A lot of times people don't know what they want, and it's really hard to to get to know what you, to kind of coax the requirements out. The requirements, they might not know them. The requirements might change because of some force majeure, or just something outside of everybody's ideas. That like something comes in. Zoom. People who made Zoom were just thinking, let's just have a cheap chat thing. We don't have to worry about security because I mean it's just going to be something low key. And then COVID comes along and half the world goes on Zoom. And then surprise, it doesn't have security. And so that's a requirement that came in out of the blue. Nobody could have predicted it. I like that. I kind of find it funny where we say that we're called software engineers, where you would never have somebody come up to you while you're in the midst of building a bridge and say, no, I don't want to have the trusses this big. I want to have twice the amount of trusses. You just can't do that in actual engineering. You have to be very precise with the with your requirements. But because it's code, it's text that you write and then can delete, there's the idea that it's easier to define the requirements on the fly. And until that changes, we're still going to have to exist. So thankfully for me, so I don't have to look for a different profession.
Well, actually, analyzing our, let's say, like star content over the past 3 months, all articles that our developers, for example, Isaac, the one, those articles where he talks about how he uses ChatGPT in Android development, they're always like appear in the homepage in the zone. Everyone wants to actually know how developers use ChatGPT. Do you use it in your daily life, or for now you just read about it, but you don't really apply it?
I don't really apply it. It's not that I don't believe in it. It's just I haven't had the time. I think it's good, and I think there will be some changes that we'll see in the software development industry out of it. It's one thing that it's kind of the zeitgeist right now, where like everybody's interested in it because it's just in the news everywhere. But what I think is going to happen is actually something that Abel here told us about, where there's interviews, software developing interviews. There's a lot of times where there's something like a take-home assignment. They say, all right, here's a prompt, and do this, and hand over this code to us. You have 3 days, or whatever it may be. So, like he put in requirements for this interview this take-home assignment that we had, and it generated a solution that looked good for the most part. I personally had some thoughts about the code that could have gotten improved, but I think that could be an issue for companies that rely on this type of interview method, these take-home assignments, that now you're going to have think something that's pretty standard, and people are going to be able to do it very quickly because if you don't turn over your assignments, there's going to be a large base of knowledge that engines like ChatGPT could take a look at. In general, though, you have to make these things kind of generic because you don't want to have them working on it for weeks. Otherwise, you're going to have to start paying them because you're employing them. Companies might have to rethink how they do their interviews and depend less on these types of take-home assignments.
Okay, and continue speaking about trends. Recently, you're receiving a lot of requests to do personalized workshop or give a talk related to a specific topic. But you actually, how do you get updated with all the trends? How do you grow? Do you have a personal agenda where you say, hey, actually, on Fridays, I dedicate, 4 hours to learn, to grow, or you are learning by doing? How do you get to know about all those things that you later on teach, actually?
Reddit. for one. I mainly it's just reading. I'll read things. I read articles about new technologies. I'll follow the blogs, the announcements from Kotlin, the authors of Kotlin, D-Zone as well. I don't really dedicate time to like doing practice of certain things. Usually when this kind of stuff happens, it's I'll learn stuff a lot of times through happenstance of just something comes up and I'm really interested in it and I decide to take a look at it. Sometimes stuff comes up because of project requirements. Learning Clojure was something that I hadn't planned on doing, but it came up because I saw that there wasn't really many people, that there was this fear of working on this, and I felt like, well, it's a part of the project that needs to be done. So if somebody needs to do it, well, this is a good opportunity to learn it and see what I can learn out of that. And so, and sometimes it just builds on itself. I learn about this thing and then I notice this, that they mentioned this about it, and then I take a look at that, and I'm doing research for one article, and I run into some issue with that, and then I read up on that, and there comes another article, and so on and so forth.
Never-ending story.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are your thoughts about working in international environments?
Yeah, so I have yet to start in it, I kind of feel like. What I mean is that I've worked in I worked in the US. When I was working in Germany, when I was working in the Netherlands, and kind of here, it's mostly been like local companies, not as much like international, like working at IBM. My biggest company I worked at was ITT, or I think they're called, I don't know what they're called now, but that was in the US. One thing is working on integrating and kind of getting to integrating with international people. That a lot of people come here to Barcelona because, well, the climate is great, it's Spain, the food's great. They have to put themselves to learn the language. They ought to, and it's a hard thing to do. And the truth of software development is that now the lingua franca is English, and so you have to learn it, and to get to the team where like you have a international team, to hire people in the Netherlands, to hire people in Germany, or just having the people from Germany or the Netherlands or wherever come here, there needs to be like a transition to have a lot more things working in English. And that's a culture change, and culture changes are extremely hard to do. It's easy to just make a proclamation from the heavens that, all right, everybody needs to speak English more. It doesn't work that way. It's a project that you need to work towards, do some things, pay for classes, get some activities, and it really needs to be pushing. Like, there was one time where even bribing people won't actually work. There was one time where it was an event, the company event, where they said, all right, the teams have a budget for doing activities outside of work. If everybody's speaking English, then that budget will be covered for that event. So you'll have essentially an extra event that you can do. Another night of bowling or escape room, whatever it may be. They took the money, we went to play bowling, do bowling, and everybody was speaking German. It's understandable because when you're with everybody else, especially if you know everybody else, if you've worked with everybody else in one language, one thing you learn when you speak another language is that cognitive, the cognitive binds that you have for people, where you normally, if you're just speaking with somebody, just if you're in like if I'm in the US and I just have a friend with somebody and I didn't know any other language, I would just be thinking about, all right, well, I know this person, here's my relationship. You learn a lot of the language, and then it starts to become, and what language do I speak with this person? I have instances where I know people from the same country where I can speak one language, or I can speak another language with like, I could speak one language with person A, or I could speak that language and English with person B. With person A, if I try to speak English, it just feels weird because our relationship has been built on us speaking, for example, us speaking German. So you really have to push that. That's just another layer of difficulty or just challenge that you have to push towards if you're trying to implement this as a directive for a company that traditionally speaks the native language. It's a lot of work. It was one thing I actually saw when I was when I studied at Asade. They devoted a week for us to do culture changes like consultants, and like the uphill struggle it is to make sure you get the buy-in from people, from the key people in the company that can really push the decision and make it successful, and just like the work that has to be done.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. Thanks. Do you already have a plan or like a list of things that you would like to discover in the upcoming year?
ChatGPT actually is one of them because of, like, again, how much my wife loves it. That she uses it for her for not dissertation but just general coursework. So I feel like, well, we have a happy customer there, so something's going on. Yeah.
I recommend you to use it to write documentation.
Okay.
It's awesome for that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, in our company we are using it for several things, but one thing is we have a tool where all the data team is building the queries for the sales people to display everything. And all those queries are analyzed, described. So this query will give you the sales for this platform, for this, so it's understandable for all the sales people. And it also adds more keywords for searching queries, because those queries have Spark, Friends, whatever in the name. Mm-hmm. So this gives a lot of keywords to see what you can see, like the business volume and everything. And we are also using it for our products.
Sure.
On the website,
yeah.
To build the tables and summaries and extend the information about the product in our catalog.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Another one that I wanted to learn is I wanted to get to learn some more, try different programming languages. Rust is the one that's perennially been on the top of like the most hyped, or not hyped, most desirable languages to learn, to get a good idea of like whether it's something I could use in actual projects, or just to learn different, to get it, as the cliche is, broaden my horizons. Learning that with Clojure, when there was a project I had to learn, I had to use Golang in, that helped me learn some things that I could apply to different programming languages, or work in other programming languages as well. Third thing, I'm not sure at this point, I think might be waiting until the kind of inspiration for the articles, because that kind of propagates things one after another.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Okay, well, thanks a lot. I don't know if anyone else has additional questions. Need 1 minute to think. No questions? Okay, then thanks a lot for the session. It was really insightful, to different approaches, to different backgrounds, but it was very, very interesting. So we recorded the talk, so after the event we will share it with you once again, in case you would like to share it with someone or listen it again. And yeah, actually every event I write down something new that we learn, some ideas, some inspiration, so thanks a lot. Actually, we had a session last week where like, Actually, Chat GPT can be used in so many ways. Like, what do we start with, right? Like, that could be a very good initial point.
I was surprised because I mean, the answer may seem obvious, like it's a language generating tool, so writing documentation seems the right fit, but when you start writing documentation about obscure and really niche topics, it kind of works anyway. And you can like tell him to write it in another tone of voice, to summarize it, to simplify it, and it writes better documentation than myself, so it's perfect for the job. And software developers don't like writing documentation.
Exactly. This is perfect.
But to the cases, we have a developer, UX designer that created a movie that I can share with you. It's in it's in his Twitter about a war between UX and front-end developers. But at the beginning they were working fine together. I can share it with you. It's very funny. It's very immersive. And the second one we have, it's a security developer that used ChatGPT to find some leak, and he managed to find a leak in a website for an hospital. So he saved some money. He won some money in bug bounty, and he didn't done anything. Like he just say, okay, this smells bad. Look for the leak and published it in bug bounty and got the money. And it took one of the most rewarded bug bounty in the platform of bug bounty. Gave the code to a bot, and the bot found the security leak, which is also saying that the new viruses, the new hacks we will have done by artificial intelligence, even like social engineering, gonna be very strong. So it's also a new area for viruses.
Yeah. Thank you. We will have some some additional brainstorming sessions.
Sure.
And, yeah. So thanks a lot, everyone, for coming, for sharing your experiences. I really encourage you to continue in our food and beverage room. we have beer, unlimited, so feel free. Yeah, thanks for coming and for sharing this.